Okay, in this video we're going to look at string and math methods that we may need. These are built-in methods that will be available, and so this is a description and some of the examples that we can look at. Reading assignment in the study guide. So we'll first get set up and then check out the list. And why don't we make a directory JavaScript string and math. And as always with these, where we are now, we'll start with the empty.js, and let's say that we'll start with a area code. So we'll do a phone number. So we'll say that we want to run this file like phone.js, say 812.237.2136. Alright, so we have a phone number like that, and we want to split it into, say we want the output to be area code 812 and then phone number 237-2136. Okay, so to be able to do that, there's a couple different ways we can do this. Basically, we want to get the first three characters out and then get the last, but we probably want to make sure that there's a dash in there somewhere. Okay, so first of all, we are going to need 3 arguments, which is what this has. So we'll call this AAA for area code, maybe something like that. Alright, so that tells them what we're expecting here. And we're of course not going to print out all the arguments, so we'll take var phone string equals bracket 2 is the first one. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at what we have available to us. So here we have the string methods on the W3 schools. So we have length, index of, looks up inside of a string, so that could be useful. Last index of searches from the back. Let's go ahead and use index of here. And just do a simple test. So let's say that we do var dash equals phone string dot index of. We want to find this first dash, and then I'll just print it just to see what we've got here. And I'll run 2 windows here. Alright, node, phone, and let's say 812, etc. Okay, there's a 3. So the other thing you always want to be aware of is what is the function going to do if it doesn't find something. So if I just do this, we get a -1. If we looked up the help information on index of, that's what it would say. So we should be prepared for that. And so we're basically going to have a distinction here between if the dash is less than 0, so that's the location of the dash, or otherwise. Okay, so if the dash is less than 0, then we'll give them a message, incorrect phone number, specify as Alright, something like that. So then if we're down here, we want to get the part of the string that's after whatever this dash is. So in our example string here, the way, okay, we'll want to get, we'll get the rest of the string. So the return value of the index of there should be the location of the dash, and if you look here, it was 3. So the positions in a string are labeled starting from 0. So this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this would be position 3, and the part of the string containing the part after the area code would be from position 4 to the end. Alright, so then we want to have a method to be able to get just parts of the string. If we keep looking here, we'll get alright, parts of the string. So we have slice, substring, and a sub-str, and if we look in our list here, length and index are on our list, and then we have slice. So out of these methods for getting parts of the string, slice is one to remember. Okay, so let's try out the slice method. So it says start to end. Let's see what happens if we do console.log phone string.slice. So we want to go from the beginning up through the dash. Alright, so we don't necessarily know yet whether that's going to print the dash or not. We'll try it out. Console.log phone string.slice, and then we'll say dash, and then through the end. So we'd like to go through the end. And it says here that if we remove, if we just don't include the second parameter, then it goes to the end. So let's see. Alright, so there we see that the first one printed, and it went just where we wanted it to. So this was a 3. That was still printed down here. We don't need to print that anymore. So, but that was the 3, and in our example, this would be index 0, 1, 2, 3. So that's actually given as when we run this here, 0, this 3, that's the character that's not printed. So that would be the start of the next part of the string. And here, we don't want to print the dash. Alright, so there we can get different parts of the string. We can look for a character in the string and pull out different parts. There's a note here that we can actually use negative values as well. So if we want to use negative values to talk about positions in a string, then so negative positions, those count from the end. So this would be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, and so on. Okay, so if we said -1, that would be the last character. And if you just want to test that, then we could print here console.log phone string bracket -1. So we have the brackets there for getting a part of the string. Right, okay, so we're supposed to do the slice. Let's say that we do -2 -1 to the end. So there we see the 3 being printed, which is the last character in that string. Okay, let's go ahead and check our list here. In our list of basics, an array, so let's see, do we have strings in our data types? String is text. And we access individual letters with slice using indexing like with arrays. Okay, so an array is a bunch of items. I don't know that we've used those or not. And a string is a bunch of letters. All right, let's do another example from our examples list. I believe we had one that was first and last name, so I'm going to save this off as a name.js. So let's say that we ask for a user's name. So they would run it like, let's see, we would say enter your name. Okay, now we'll say, let's say they do node name.js, Jeff Kinney, something like that. And let's say they're going to put it in quotes so that it comes in as a single item in the arguments. So name.js, Jeff Kinney, and of course if I want to print it like that, I need to use my backslash to be able to print a quote, because quotes are special. I don't want to end the string, I want to actually print the quote, so there I am. And I'll have var name string equals process.arg.get2. Okay, so what I'm thinking we print here is we would maybe say hello Jeff, like that. Alright, so I want to just pull out the first name, and maybe they could run this with 2 different modes. Maybe they would do it first last with a space, or like this. Okay, so either the Jeff is going to, the first name is going to be at the beginning or at the end, and we want to figure out which is which. I just want to first make sure that we're getting the argument here. Okay, let's see, go over here, node, I want to do name, and Jeff Kinney. Okay, so there's Jeff Kinney. If I put the double quotes in, it sends it in as a single argument, versus you can see if I do Jeff Kinney here, that'll be 2 arguments. I want it to be a single argument. Alright, so now I want to figure out whether they typed it with a comma or without a comma. Okay, so you could pause the video for a second maybe, and what do we need to do basically to find that comma? Okay, now we really need to do the same thing as we did in the last video. So I'll say comma equals name string dot index of and the comma. Right, so I'm going to have a case where the comma is present or not. If the comma is less than 0, in particular -1, then there is no comma. So I'll just put a note here. This would, in this case, we're assuming the name is like Jeff Kinney, and in this case, we're assuming the name is like Kinney Jeff. Let's do the one with the comma first. So the one with the comma, we have the position of the comma, so we could do var first equals, why don't we do this, var first name equals Alright, if we don't, just before we get a name, we'll say person. Alright, so here I'll say first name equals name string dot slice, and I want to start from the position of the comma. So that is the comma there. So I don't want the comma, I want to go one past the comma, and that would have my space here, but let's just see if it works. So I want to say hello plus first name. Alright, so let's go ahead and test it out. So there we have hello Jeff with an extra space in there. So maybe they will have a space, maybe they won't. If we want to be able to handle both, then we would need to have another test. So we'd have to test if so what we want to test here is the first letter or is the letter after comma a space or not. There's a couple different ways we could do that. Let's go ahead and scan through our list of functions here. So these are other ways to get different parts of a string. There's a replace function. We could use that here. This would be replacing one particular string, a part of the string, with another one. So anytime you see Microsoft in here, it would replace it with this. Okay, this is what I was looking at for. There's a char at. So this would tell us a character at a particular position. So I want to test if why don't I say the first name looks like this. Okay, and now I just want to test if first name dot char at 0, so the first position, if that is equal to space. Okay, so that would be the case like this. That's probably the normal case, but then I want to get rid of that space before I print it out. Okay, if we look over at our methods that we have here for strings that are available to us, I think we'll use the replace function, which we could use even without doing this test, but it would look like this. So first name dot replace. So I want to take the space and replace it with nothing. And let's take a look at what they say about the replace method. And it says here that it's going to replace only the first match, which is probably what we want here, because you might have a name like Kenny Jeffrey J, and either we should not consider everything after the space, or we would need to keep the space there. So that would be alright. So this would be one way to do this. Let's see if it works. Let us see. So it looks like that double space is still there, so let's see if we could get inside of here. Things don't go the way you think. Start printing where you think the code should be. I did see the high there. That means that this this function did run. and it just didn't, looks like it didn't do the replacement, so let's try to replace that space with something else and see what happens. Okay, right. So the replace, probably you already saw this, it does not actually change the string, so if I want to use this, I have to do it like this. And I can probably go ahead and put it back like this. So the first name dot replace the empty character, or the space, with nothing, and that'll be a new string that gets created. If I want that to get saved into my first name variable, I have to do the equal. So this will create it. Doesn't change first name. If I want to change first name, there's my assignment. Alright, there we go, and now if I run it with no space, it should still work alright. Okay, and we actually, so depending on what we want to do, we could have just done this. Yeah, so we probably only want to do it if it's the first space there. Okay, so the other case then would be like this, and we probably want to only go up to the first space. So we know how we can find the space. That is name string dot index of, and then space. And so then we can just say first name equals name string dot slice. Okay, and we want to start at 0, and where do we want to go to? Space. And slice will go up to the character before that. So let's see. There it is. And if I do something like Jeff J. Kinney, what do you think will get printed? Will it just be Jeff, or will it be Jeff J? And it's just up to the first space. Alright, so that's, those are a couple examples. We could do another, we'll do one called chat.js. So chat.js, what I have in mind here is you type a message to the program and it says something. So you maybe say, hello, how are you? And maybe we'll have something put in there that'll respond intelligently, and we could say, hello, I'm fine. And maybe if you said node chat.js, what would happen next? What other questions could it ask? Maybe it could ask, what is your name? Somebody might ask that. And then it could say, my name is something. Computer. Okay, so we could have a few things like that. So chat.js, and then we would have some text. Okay, so now we're thinking that the parameter is something like a maybe a sentence or a question of some kind. So we'll call it sentence, process.argv bracket 2, and then I'm going to have a series of if tests. Basically, I want to just do some keyword searches. So if they say hello, then I'll say hello. First of all, I'm going to convert this to lowercase, and that was in our list here somewhere, to lowercase. Okay, let's see, to lowercase, and let's make sure that works. Console.log sentence. Okay, hello there. So then the lowercase version of the sentence, I don't have to worry about mismatches in case with my keywords. So I'll say if sentence.index of hello is greater than or equal to 0, or sentence.index of hi is greater than or equal to 0, then we should say hello. Console.log hello. Okay. Now we could have more of these. So if sentence.index of are you, let's say that's going to be common enough that we'll just look for that. Console.log will say I'm fine. And if sentence.index of name is greater than 0, and so if there's name in the sentence and you in the sentence, then we might say my name is computer. Alright, and we might want to keep track of whether we said anything yet. So I'll say I'll just have something called B. Okay, so B is false, but if I say anything here, I'll set it equal to true. And then down here, if B is still false, then I'll say something. It was nice talking to you. The idea here, this is like a chat, some sort of chat program, that chat bot. Hello there, how are you? Alright, so what do you think will get printed? When I hit enter. We can go through the list here. So is it going to match this condition? So this is going to happen if there's hello in the sentence somewhere, or if there's hi. And this one is going to match if how are you is in the sentence somewhere. And this one's going to match if both name and you are in there. And we get an error. Alright, let's see. Right, we need to say index of here. Remember to save your file when you run it again. Okay, so we got hello, I am fine. If we say, what is your name? Do you think it will print, my name is computer? So name is there. What about you? So it did find you, you is part of your, and this index of is not paying attention to whether there's spaces or not. It's just looking for these 3 letters in a row. And if we say something that it doesn't know about, then it just says some sort of token response. Alright, so we basically looked at, let's see, 2 lowercase, 2 uppercase. It will be the same but converting to uppercase. We've seen these. Let's take a look at the split. Okay, so split is just going to turn the string into an array, which would allow us to do things like we do with arrays. We can go back to our name. Let's do a new one. Let's see. We can start with any of these files. Why don't we start with the name, and we'll call this confused.js. Alright, let's say that we're going to do something like this. Node.js, node confuse.js, hi there, and let's say we want to just make all the vowels go away. So we'll say H, and we'll put some symbol, maybe a dash. Let's see, this we're good. Okay, so could we still understand it without the vowels? That's kind of fun. Now we're calling this confuse. Alright, and then we put in any kind of message there. So here we'll have some message process.argv bracket 2. Okay, so what would be nice to do would be to have code something like this. For I equals 0 up to the length of message bracket I equals dash, right? So if message bracket I is a vowel, then we would have something like this. Alright, it would be nice to do that, but in Python, or in, JavaScript, strings, you can't do that, but we can if we convert them to an array. So, right, so we could do it like this. First of all, let's just see if we can do it like that and see what happens. Alright, so we'll say var I equals 0, I is less than message.length. So length is the thing that's available. I plus plus. First of all, let's just print. Let's try to do message bracket I. See if it allows that or not. Okay, it does. Now let's see if it lets me change. It doesn't. So let's see what the error looks like. So the error says, there's the error, cannot assign to read-only property. Okay, so we're not allowed to make changes inside of a string. But if message were an array instead, so if we say message equals message.split, so split will split the string into fields, and if we don't give something to split on, so if we did this, it would split at each comma. Instead here it'll split at each letter. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so there it did let us replace them like this. If we were keeping this as a string and trying to do a change inside of it, then what we have to work with is our replace. So we'd have to be using replace. This is just a different way to do it. So now let's put our if test in, if message bracket I. Why don't we do it like this and see what happens. A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U, so that is a string. So now I could say, is this letter here inside of the list of vowels? So if it is, then this would be greater than or equal to 0. And we want to do, let's see, we're going to do dash. And let's see. Yeah, we'll still print the message. Bracket I. So it should have changed. Message is an array now because we did the split. Alright, so now we see that it did change the A to a dash. Now if we want to print here, what's it going to print? Because message is an array and not a string. So it prints it as an array. An array, when you create an array, you can do it with square brackets, and then you separate things by commas, and that's multiple items in there. All right, so if I want to convert this back to an array, there was Alright, let's look it up. So JavaScript converts array to string. Alright, let's see. So it looks like there's a toString, which will give a string version of this, but then it's putting commas in. So that's probably not exactly what we want. Join is probably what we want. Alright, so now if we look at let's look at join. Well, so here we can give a parameter. So if I say message equals message.join, like that. So join would take these letters and it would print something like, well, let's do it without that first. Let's see what it gives. Okay, so now we have the letters separated by commas, and that would be fine if we were thinking these as a list of separate letters, but we're really thinking of them as strings that should be put together. Okay, so now we have, we don't have those commas in there. Let's do something like, hello there, my name is Jeff, how about you? Alright, and there it is, and okay, that's kind of amusing. Let's check our list, and so if you want to, you could pause and check that program to make sure you understand it. List of functions, we've got split, replace, char at, we've used at, char code at, you can see what that's going to do. Call it ascii.js. And what I want to print here is, well, we'll see what it prints. Okay, so we leave that message there like that, and so I'm not going to convert that into an array. I'll use the char code at and console dot print. So first I'll just print message bracket I, which we're allowed to do, and I'll also print message dot char code at I. Okay, so in the ith position, we have the character and whatever this char code at is going to print. Right, console.log. Alright, so we have H, 72, E, 101, L, 108, L, 108, O, 111, period, 46, and then we still have a print down here that I can get rid of. So what that is actually printing is, why don't I shorten this? So if I do ABC space ABC, it's actually printing the ASCII code value for A, so we should go and take a look at the ASCII code. And any one of these would be fine to look at. We'll look at this one here. So in the computer, everything is really just ones and zeros, and this is a table that shows what gets stored for letters, depending on what kind of computer you're on. So, but for lowercase a, it says it might be storing the bits for the number 97, and in hexadecimal, that's this here. For uppercase A, it's storing the bits for the number 65, and then my computer will interpret that as the right letter when it reads those bits. So the number for A is 97, B is 98, C is 99, and then we have a space, and we need to look up the code for space, and here it's 32. And then we have the uppercase letters, which start at 65. Let's just check to make sure that's what actually prints on that one. There it is, the 97, we have the space, and the 32, and we have the A starting at 65. So this would be some things that, if you're taking any other CS classes, it's good to remember. Let's see if we have it in our list somewhere. Let's just go ahead and put it, we'll put it at the top. This would go under the category of general computer information, general programming. Okay, ASCII code, the number that is actually stored for characters. Alright, and we'll put a link there. There's lots of different places that list the ASCII code. And you should remember that A is 97, lowercase a is 97, uppercase A is 65, space is 32, and 0, I believe, is 48. Let's check. There's 48. And the digits go in order, the letters go in order, so if you remember 0, uppercase A and lowercase a, then that gives you quite a bit of the table that you can remember. Alright, now I think we've done everything we were supposed to in the string methods. And it's probably long enough for one video, so we'll get to the math functions in the next video.